Hello and welcome to Fireside Chats at the Influencer Series conducted by the Alchemist Accelerator. These are timely chats with tech leaders about what's on their mind. Let's get into it. Our guest is a Silicon Valley product management leader. Manjeet Singh is the Senior Director of Product Management at Salesforce AI and Agentforce, where he is deploying products right now that millions of users are using and very much on the pulse of everything that's happening in AI and enterprise AI. Previously, Manjeet was also worked in product management as the head of products at Iron Mountain and also as the head of products at ServiceNow. And so he's seen and he has unique insights into how to scale AI, both from a startup perspective and a Fortune 500 perspective. And what we're going to talk today about is what's the state of enterprise adoption in AI, and where are there opportunities that are seeing real adoption versus those that aren't? What are the factors that can discern whether or not you are looking at an opportunity that's going to lead to likely good ROI and good outcomes for an enterprise versus those that won't and will lead to enterprise failure? We're going to talk about which types of areas Manjeet would focus on if he was creating a startup, and where there are opportunities, both if you're going to approach it from a vertical AI perspective and also from a horizontal AI perspective, where there are opportunities to pursue, and how to think about how to build something that's more than just an LLM wrapper if you're building an enterprise AI application. So Manjeet, I want to start by getting your snapshot view of what's happening right now. And so I'm curious, from your perspective, where are we when it comes to enterprise agentic adoption?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of momentum kind of from there's two side of use cases that I'm seeing. One is in the form of these agents, and people are building agents for all different roles. So one lens to look at it is like in a given enterprise, you have different roles, like sales, marketing, for example. I lead product teams, so product management. So what's happening, what kind of agents people are building for software development, product, customer experience, so on and so forth. The second kind of use cases are where it's not a conversational kind of agent, but it's kind of running behind the scene. But the end goal is still, automate the processes and workflow, increase productivity, increase efficiency, and then, right? So those are the kind of KPIs people care about. What's happening now is people are building a lot of different kind of agents. There's a lot of demos, there's a lot of prototype. And there's kind of crossing the chasm from going from your prototype to production. So I think that's the journey. That's where I define 2025 is crossing that chasm from all your flashy prototype to real, this agentic layer running in production, driving, moving your key kind of business KPIs, whether it's in increasing productivity. Let's say when you think about software development function, you want your developers to be able to generate more outcome. There's different KPIs, number of line of code and features, and then, or it's many times it's like able to increase my revenue, right? You can have sales agent that can do your lead scoring and increase your funnel. And then how do you convert those customers faster and increase kind of customer experience? So I think net what I'm seeing is we are in kind of this mid where there's a lot more POCs and kind of all that. And then this MIT report came out and it's like, okay, there's a lot more, failure rate. And my hunch,
this is the MIT report that says that 95% of enterprise AI is failing.
Yeah, and my hunch there is, I think the truth is somewhere in between, because a lot of those failures happened in the POC because there's a big learning curve.
Okay.
People don't know how to use this technology the right way, and then that's where a lot of project starts, and then there's like, okay, we are not getting ROI. But I'm also seeing the other side where there are very successful deployment of agents handling not just the simple, reset my password or, when is the next call, like the common. They're actually going and taking actions and then deflecting those questions, before reaching into the human agent.
Is there a takeaway that we can abstract as to which enterprise AI deployments are leading to success versus those that are leading to the failure that's in the MIT report?
Yeah, so I'll give you one stack ranking that I have where I think I've seen a huge progress, and I think it's an iterative kind of way. You cannot expect the very first version to really kind of meet all your quality bar. So my stack ranking is one is like a software development, right? That's what you see, all these different tools like Cursor and then Lovable, and then right, the huge adoption. I use it myself quite a lot, and pretty convinced that once you know what you want to create and you prompt it the right way with the good context, they give a very good output. Whether it's I'm designing a prototype, whether I'm creating a piece of software, and then so that's kind of the one lens. The second is customer service. Very bullish about it. I think these customer agents now are going to have voice mode as well. And this voice mode is very good. What I hate is when let's say my internet is down, I need to call Comcast as an example. It's like 20-30 minutes. So now these agents can serve 24/7. They don't get tired, and then they can kind of makes the experience better and at a low cost. Because one lens is when you like to serve your all this call center, the average cost is $13. But if an agent can do it in $1, that's an amazing cost saving, as an example.
So the through line for me for both of those is that it's relatively contained the outcome,
right?
The set of outcome possibilities. Obviously, with one, if you're predefining the outcome, and even with customer experience, it's there's some complexity, but it's also it's sort of deterministic. There's a certain set of outcomes that capture probably 80% of the use cases. So those things seem like they're attractive initial markets.
Right.
Is there an area that you think is the most, if you're a startup founder now, is there what areas would you pursue? I'm curious if there's something that you think is overlooked but highly attractive to go after that you're not seeing enough startups pursue.
Yeah, so I think the one bucket is look into kind of industry vertical domain specific, which are not horizontal, not like, not a kind of a DIY scenario where you can take any of these open source framework or OpenAI and kind of, build out, because you need to configure in the right context, right data, and then only you will get the output. So I'm seeing some interesting startup targeting these specific, for example, just within legal, like, then you look at, hey, paralegal as a workflow. So what can we do to build best-in-class agent for that? Not like a kind of take off the shelf and then struggle to make it work. It's like out of the box, it's pretty good, and then you just build out the feedback loop to make it better. So companies like Harvey, I think they're pretty successful in. So I would say that's continued to be an interesting market because it's a mix of taking this piece of technology and then bringing your deep domain expertise, which are kind of rare and not easy. So my advice to start this, I think let's say startup founder one is, if you have any unique insight about any of these critical workflow, whether it's a supply chain or others, which is a multi-step. If it's very simple, you can define, just like I would say coding is a pretty defined space. That's why we are seeing faster success. But some of the workflows which are cutting across departments and then understand the taxonomy and the way of working, I think that's a good one where you can build out a kind of a strong enough moat that you can defend.
And is there because I think the question that oftentimes founders get if they're doing vertical AI is, once you prove out the market, and if it's truly big enough to warrant a venture fund's check, if it's truly going to prove out that this is $1 billion or $10 billion market, then why wouldn't any of the platform players just release their own version of a tuned LLM if the market is so big that it warrants the VC check?
No, so I think the way I think about it is, can they do it? Possibly yes, but it will not be easy to do it because at the end of the day, they will also have to go through the same journey, hire those domain experts, go through many iterations. And that's where I think there's a lot of game of speed these days. So the faster some of these startups I'm seeing, if you can onboard a lot of good customers and build that kind of the snowball effect. And then I think even if these platform players bring up, you can still, because the another way to kind of look at some of these workflow is what's the cost of being wrong? So you can continue to differentiate based on the quality, and I call it a state-of-the-art agent.
And you're looking for things where the cost of being wrong is high?
That's, I would say, the better place. The
Okay.
more you see, because that's where the domain expertise and
There's
it's all these regulated industries, healthcare, banking, finance, and government sectors and others, and because those will be hard to replicate.
Okay, and they're willing to pay a premium, and they don't want to take a bet on something that's 80% right.
Exactly.
They need to be higher standard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And are there any other gaps that you're seeing that are preventing more AI adoption that you think are opportunities?
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's where I'm very kind of bullish about, because if you look at like a software development lifecycle, right? So we have built this tool in last 20 years that makes this whole soft SDLC, hey, there's right tool for testing, right tool for deployment, right tool for monitoring. We don't have that tool chain when it comes down to agentic layer. So that's where I'm seeing, big platform players are trying to build that tool chain. And then there's an opportunity for startups, because then you can say, hey, I'm building this platform agnostic. Then whether, let's say if you're in Microsoft or Salesforce or ServiceNow, or no matter what platform, it's, how you test agent. Testing is a big, takes a lot of time. And you hear everybody talking about, it's like evals is all you need. And what that means is you build an agent, and then there's so many permutation combination where you need to test to get confidence that is it production ready or not, and to do the eval right, it's a lot of kind of factors. So I see a bunch of companies are building this testing tool chain. Same as when you deploy it into production, the biggest reason people are not ready to go to production is they are not able to do the full tracking of the agent, because if I ask a question to the agent, what's happening in the reasoning layer? What's happening? Why did it produce for this input, this output, like this question, and why there is kind of variability in that? So this concept of observability and tracing. So I think there's a good opportunity. I see a bunch of startups are trying to kind of solve that, and then and that's applicable, right? Because you just like the key question there is, how do you do the performance management and the KPIs for your agent, because they are just like doing the human task.
And these are interesting because these are functional layers that need to exist, that are sort of horizontal. So it sounded like there was this first set of opportunities that was sort of vertical, or at least that we're talking about, and then these are more horizontal gaps.
Right.
And if you were a startup, is there an entry point? Would you be focusing on opportunities that cut across different platforms? Or is it more just finding some use case and just solving it really well and then extending it to other customers?
I think the best position will be where you think of it as a horizontal and more broader application, but pick one or two use cases. Don't try to go too broad in the beginning, because just like, hey, what's the killer application, right? Anything that we do. So I would say find that niche, and then if you can kind of repeat others, then I think you'll have a pretty big customers to go after.
And if you were a founder today, what would you start?
What I would start, so I think my sweet intersection is somewhere in the between of AI and healthcare and fitness.
Okay,
so
there's a lot of interest in AI and healthcare and fitness.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me. Why?
So I'm a big believer in preventative health.
Okay.
Longer health span and then longevity, and I think there's some interesting work happening.
And you look great. You're 204. Is that right?
My goal is to live 204.
You
so let's see. But I think it's we all know it's important to eat healthy. It's important to move. It's important to kind of not take stress. And then, but end of the day, we are living in this very stressful, high expectation life, and I'm continually thinking that how this AI can really help be my personal coach, and combined with all these, the trackers, so that feeds the data, and continue to see, what's happening at kind of different markers, so that I take, more proactive actions. So this was very hard to do because, if you look at Apple Watch has been around for almost 10 years, and the promise there was oh, we will collect all these signals and we'll do it. But there was not a good kind of the data analysis and modeling around that. Now with these LLMs and other, I think we'll see good progress happening around that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And is there any under the radar AI app that you really love right now that you want to call out? It's okay if there's not.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because you.
So I would say yes. So, and I think it's a moving target for me because I would say as of this month, I'm spending a lot of time in, for example, using this agentic browser like Comet, Perplexity, Lily's Comet, and what I found is earlier I was more into ChatGPT interface or Gemini, but this one is I found more helpful because I'm looking into a piece of content and website, and then here, and I have the same kind of the power of conversational interface. And I think and so because we have been talking about what's the next AI experience other than this kind of chat interface. So I think this agentic browser is very promising. In my job, I do a lot of reading and research, and it saves me a lot of copy paste, and it's in the context. It remembers things. So it's continue to build who am I, and it gets better. So this reinforcement feedback loop is, I think that's what will take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's got you. But it keeps rewarding you, so it's okay for that to be surrendered to it. Well, that is so fantastic, Manjeet. One of the things that we're trying to do, and I know you've done this before, is as a final thing is to have people share a 6-word takeaway that you want to share with the audience. So I assume the audience, let's say, is a prospective founder.
Right.
Is there any 6-word piece of advice you would want to share?
So 6-word, maybe 2 advices, and I'll try to compress them in 6 words, just like an LLM. So first is, I would say, understand what it can do today, and then apply where you have the unique insight. So maybe it's more than 6-word, but I think we can come back because it's important to know what it can and cannot do. And then going back to the previous point, if you have domain expertise in industry verticals or some unique insight or the problem, I would say then figure it out. How do you kind of use it? Because that will end up becoming your moat. Then you can diffuse like, oh, are you just a wrapper on the top? No, I mean, maybe you're using the same model behind the scene, but this layer you're putting on the top, the context layer, the data layer, and then your unique workflow insight, reimagining the workflow, because there's a lot of chatter. And sorry, I'm going a little longer here.
No, this is great. Yeah.
So,
and I think this is a common issue that all startup founders worry about is that VCs will always say, "Oh, you're just a wrapper."
Correct.
Or why aren't you just a wrapper? So if you can provide more color around that, around the detail of how to think about that, I think I would love to hear that. Yeah.
So so when I was in MBA school, we read this 7 power of kind of ways to create moat, right? Hamilton's kind of book, and I think that those fundamentals are still true, right? Is distribution is a power, or is kind of switching cost is high, or attention, and then so I think the way I like to kind of do this exercise is, hey, I have this idea, this technology, better way to solve those problems. This was harder to do it before. I don't need to have a lot of data scientists. So, and let me kind of start building. Then you think about how would I build a kind of moat around that. And usually it may not be just one thing because you're starting out, you don't, 3 or 4 moats, it's not applicable to you. You don't have distribution, you don't have so what you then think about pretty much coming from your strength, like what are unique insights that you have. The tricky part there is, I'll tell you, which is my insight for today, is when you use these models, these model companies are carefully looking at where the most token usage is going. And to your previous year risk, you said those companies, when they see OpenAI and Anthropic, there's there's a lot of usage happening here. What problem they are solving, and then they will try to build their app on top of that.
Yes.
The way you win the race and continue to stay ahead is one is moving fast because of course you're a startup, you're small, and then have your kind of domain knowledge on the top. Staying very close to the customer feedback and building it for the customers, and I think that's the way to go. The moment you will have 10 customer, 100 customer, you will be in a good spot.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome, Manjeet.
It was always a blast.
It's always fun. That was great.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And that's our show. Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more discussions as well. You can also check out our website, alchemistaccelerator.com, to learn more about the Alchemist Startup Accelerator program and to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.